So top 5 mistakes to avoid once your divorce has been final. So divorce is completed, it's finalized, approved by the court, you're done, you go your separate ways. The top things that I think you should be avoiding once your divorce has been finalized. So number 1 on this list is rushing into new relationships. You really want to stay away from this one. Avoid it. Don't get into it. You don't want to get into something, especially long-term, right away. I mean, we'll meet with some people, I do divorce family law here in Metro Detroit. I'll meet with clients sometimes that they want to know when the divorce is going to be final so they can get married to someone else. And that's not a good thing to be doing. You don't want to go out of a long-term relationship, right back into a long-term relationship and right back into commitments and committing about where to live and making all these decisions. It's really rushing into things. You want to avoid that mistake. It's okay if you're dating, you want to see somebody else, you're doing those sorts of things, but take it easy. You just got out of a whole thing that you feel like maybe was a mistake, or you regret it, or you just don't like how it has gone for you. You don't want to rush into another long-term relationship. Just take it easy on that one. So that's one thing we see. Number 2 on this list is neglecting finances and your legal obligations. So you want to be aware of what your obligations are, what things are required of you now that the divorce is final. Are there things that you need to take care of as far as bank accounts? Maybe there's a joint account that needs to get closed. Maybe there's retirement accounts that need to be divided. You want to make sure that gets handled properly. Or something simple like you keep the car, but the car's in both names. You need to transfer the title over to just your name. Or maybe title to a house, same story. So you want to make sure that these obligations are taken care of. If there's things you're supposed to be paying, or if you're now required to pay child support because there's a custody and parenting time thing going on in your divorce, or whatever it might be, you want to make sure that you know what's expected of you, what you're supposed to pay, how this all looks. You don't want to be neglecting it, not thinking about it. You're exhausted by the process. Your divorce is final. You're glad it's done. You want to put it behind you, but you want to also then look through your divorce judgment, go over it with a professional, review it with your divorce attorney, review it with a financial planner, maybe even, review it with somebody, even just a trusted friend, and make sure you understand what it says, what it means, what's expected of you, and what you need to be doing now that the divorce has been finalized. So that's number 2. Number 3 on the list of what to avoid with things after your divorce is final is you want to make sure you don't fail to create an estate plan. If you've never had an estate plan, like a trust or a will or durable healthcare power of attorneys, those kind of things in place, now's the time to do one. If you do have one, you're going to want to update it. So your divorce is final. If you had an estate plan, it's going to have involved your now ex-spouse. You want to change all that. If you never did an estate plan, now's all the wiser why you should do it, because now you're a single person. There's not necessarily things owned jointly and something would happen to you, it would all go to your spouse. That's not the case anymore. So you want to do an estate plan if you don't have one, or you're going to want to modify the one that you have if you had one in place, whether it's wills, trusts, what to do with things like that, power of attorney, healthcare. You want to make sure all that's taken care of. A big mistake we see is people don't take care of this stuff. They don't do estate plans after the divorce is final. You really want to make sure that gets taken care of. And then number 4 on this list is of mistakes that we see after your divorce is final. Number 4 is failing to establish boundaries. You want to establish boundaries with finances, with parenting, co-parenting, if you have children together, custody, parenting time things, communication sort of boundaries. You want to make sure that those are established. I mean, I'll meet with clients, sometimes they've been divorced a year ago, and they still have a joint account together that they're actively using. Like their ex-wife is still sort of running their bills and running their finances. It's not a good idea. There's just going to come a time where that's going to sour. As soon as somebody starts seeing another person or gets in another relationship, then those kind of things end. So you don't want to be in a position where you have put this off and you've stayed on joint accounts or allowed an ex-spouse to pay things, run things, be dealing with things. You want to make sure that there's guidelines in place and boundaries in place with how parenting time is going to work if you have minor children together, what that looks like, what's the communication going to be, are you emailing with each other, texting, or just talking on the phone is okay. You want to make sure you set all that up before there's problems. You don't want to make it look like you're doing something to be punishing by setting up boundaries and setting up things. You want to just set those up from the very beginning and controlling what you can control with all of these things that you're dealing with now that you have an ex-spouse and the two of you aren't married anymore, but you still got to deal with some things. So that's that's number 4 on the list. Number 5, mistakes that we see that people should avoid after their divorce is final. Number 5 on the list is isolating yourself. Avoid this. It's tempting. It's nice to just hide from the world. Now that this is final, you really don't want to talk to people about the divorce, or you don't know what to say. You don't want to answer their questions. You got to avoid that. The more you are avoiding people and isolating yourself, the harder it's going to be to get back in there. You want to see friends, you want to see family. You need that stuff now more than ever. So you want to jump into that right away. Don't get sucked into this idea of just cocooning at home and you're not going to reach out to anybody and not check in with any. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. It's ultimately not going to help you, and you want to stay away from it. It's tempting, but it's really not what's going to be best, and that you just need to kind of push through it and just say, okay, what's my new life look like now? What am I doing? Am I signing up for some, yoga class, or what new thing am I doing now that I'm single? What things do I want to be doing here? You want to be looking at all that and giving it some consideration, and seeing friends and seeing family and making things a priority, figuring out what's important to you and what your priorities are. That's important. You don't want to be isolating yourself away. That's not going to be what's best for you. It's not really going to be your focus. You want to stay away from that. So I hope that helps. Thanks.